Hey guys, my name is Ruxandra and this is UT Journeys, the podcast where we invite ambitious students and hear more about their student life, extracurriculars, and most importantly, how you can enhance your study journey. Today, I have with me Team Aangevaeren, External Relations and Finance Manager, and Torben Venema, Communication Manager of the Electric Superbike Twente. Together, we will go through the process of building the bike, the exciting events and competitions awaiting the team, and what it really feels like to be part of the student team. So, we are here today to talk about your team, Electric Superbike Twente.
Indeed.
Can you tell me a little bit about it and what makes it unique?
Yeah. So Electric Superbike Twente is a student team in Enschede. We are based of students from Saxion and University of Twente. And what we do is we build our own electric motorcycle from scratch.
Yeah, we're just we're a team of 20 people who all have their they all have different reasons why they joined the team, and together with all of the passion, we try to create our own electric motorcycle to race in the Motor Student.
Yeah. So what makes us unique is that we're the only student team in the Netherlands that builds their own electric motorcycle. So building an electric motorcycle is actually a pretty stupid idea because motorcycles are small. They have to have a good point of gravity, and placing a big battery pack in there is unhandy. And we try to take on that challenge and prove the rest wrong, and that it is possible.
And that it can actually be the same as a normal motorcycle, and really develop all the technologies that surround it. To really get an impact in the innovations of the new world, basically.
Okay. What do you guys study, by the way?
Yeah, so I'm currently in my 4th year of my bachelor business in IT.
Yeah, and I'm in my 2nd year of creative technology, and next year I'm going to do my 3rd.
And you are taking basically a break here so you can be part of the team.
Yeah. So it's a year full-time indeed. Yeah. So we started in September and we will end in September. Yeah, October kind of we still have the competition, but basically a whole academic year full-time working.
Yeah, and we just like a normal job, 40 hours a week, 9 till 5, sometimes a bit longer, and really get the burger life.
Yeah, sometimes we still have events in the weekends, so it'll be more than 40 hours, but basically 9 to 5.
Yeah, but also really fun, so...
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, then it counts as having fun, not as really working.
Yeah, exactly.
If you like it. Can you share a little bit about your journey to becoming part of the team?
Yeah.
Yeah,
start?
Yeah, sure. First time I actually heard from Electric Superbike Twente was... I was visiting a friend of mine, and her brother was in a meeting, it was a Zoom call, and I was like... What's he doing? She was like, oh, he's the team principal of Electric Superbike Twente. Like, what's that? And that's how I got to know of Electric Superbike Twente, really random. But then I saw them at events and I thought, oh, that's really cool. Actually, I want to do a student team. I applied and I had to interview and another interview. And lo and behold, I got accepted to be in the team.
Nice.
Yeah, for me it was a bit different. Coming from high school, I was fascinated by student teams in Eindhoven, Delft, and University of Twente. I was kind of like captivated by the fact that a whole team together of just students can create something that big and something that impactful. So out of my student team, at my home, an old roommate of mine did Electric Superbike Twente and a neighbor. And I kind of got talking with them, I got interested, and then I applied. So and then 2 interview rounds and the case further, I got accepted.
Yeah, and we also went. I'm not sure. Did you go to those interest lunches and drinks?
Unfortunately not. They were a bit too early, but you did go?
Yeah, I did go. I talked to a lot of the team and to see like what the vibe was, how did they enjoy the team. Talked to a lot of people with different functions, and I had some. I was really interested in becoming a communication manager because then I get to talk to a lot of people in the business, which I really thought I enjoyed. So that really interested me also to do more next to my studies and learn more than you normally get to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great with the interest lunch when you have that possibility, so you can actually get to know the team and how it would be like a little bit to be in the team
You
beforehand.
get like one-on-one contact on what the functions are, what you do on a day-to-day basis. I didn't have that, but I did get a tour for the workshop.
Yeah.
And that was really fascinating though, because I felt like, wow, okay, these are actual mechanics doing something really cool, and not just some student initiative.
Yeah, it's really weird. First time you come into the workshop and you see there a racing bike just standing there with all the electrical components and mechanical components, and it's so weird.
Where is your workshop based?
Capitol, so it's across from Term. So they have like 5 student teams all in the same building, and then they have on the front are the offices, and on the back we have the workshop, and that's divided between the student teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really cool to take a walk there, get a coffee, take a walk and see all the projects.
And are you an independent student team, or are you coordinated by someone? Like, do you
No,
have a
we are
coordinator?
fully independent.
Fully
So we have
independent.
some earlier student teams like High Driven currently and Solar Team. They are led by the uni, or they have an advice commission from the university.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, we are fully independent.
Yeah, of course we do work with the university together as well as with Saxion, but in terms of decisions and funding, we have to organize it ourselves.
Yeah. So if we want to go like a totally different road, we are fine to do that because we're just pure independent.
Yeah.
Nice. That's always great. You guys are part of the communication department,
Yeah, correct.
but since you are such a small team, like 20 people, I assume it's also a little bit like intertwined, like the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the process of building the bike?
Yeah, so our team is, like you said, 20 people, and we're divided in 4 sub-teams. There's management, communications, powertrain, who do, the drivetrain, and chassis, who do the mechanical stuff. And together we build a bike and we all have our own responsibilities, but of course there's a lot of overlap. In management, they manage the entire team. I'm also part of the management and communications team, so I manage the communications team. And Tim actually is also part of the communications team, but he's focused on the technical partners. So he works a lot with the chassis team and the powertrain team to get the right components.
Yeah, on a daily I work together with the engineers in order to get the components and trainings necessary for the motorcycle. And on top of that, I manage all the finances, so I'm also very intertwined with management and whenever a purchase has to be made.
Yeah.
Nice. And can you tell me a little bit about the process of actually building the bike, like how you start?
Yeah, so like we said, this year we had to start from scratch. So we first kind of go into a design phase, then we kind of make decisions, okay, how will our bike look like? Where will we need to source the components from? What is possible? Also for me, that's also a part where I really need to get in contact with companies, partners, to see which components we can get our hands on.
And also what can we develop ourselves, because we have to build a bike in a year's time with a limited budget. And normally it takes around 5 years to develop a MotoGP bike, and they have a budget of 4 million. We don't.
Unfortunately.
Yet. No, I mean, but we only have 1 year to completely build a bike, so you have to see what's possible. First, we really broaden it by looking at all the different possibilities, and then you have to each go by and cross one out to really see what can we actually do in a year.
Yeah, for example, example I have from earlier is the battery cells are a very essential component. We have to source those from China. But most companies don't really even want to get in contact with them because their minimum order amount is like in the few millions. And we just only need a couple hundred battery cells. So that's again an example where you maybe cannot get your hands into the top best fitting components, but you have to do with what you can get.
Yeah, and based on that, you start the design process, which we are in now. We're designing it up until February. Then is the design deadline. So that's what we're working towards now. And what the product which you then have is basically a model of what the bike is going to look like. And then you start the production phase. So I think that's also why it's very unique to work in the student team, because normally this project, like I said, takes 5 years, really long time. But now you can have the entire process in 1 year. So you go from designing from ideating to designing to production, and then actually testing it and racing it, which is our entire process to building a bike.
We're going to do this year a full cycle, and every part of the cycle comes again with its own challenges.
Yeah.
So after we've assembled, that'll be around June, I think. We will go more into like the debugging and testing phases. Then we'll also like drive on Assen. And after that, then we'll finish it, and then October we'll be racing.
Yeah.
And then next year they start again.
Which is crazy, but also really fun.
You mentioned your team is divided into 4 different sub-teams. So
Right.
chassis, powertrain, communication, and management.
Yeah.
How do the different teams collaborate effectively?
Yeah, so you have certain projects that are very that are kind of divided, so that powertrain only works with it or chassis only works with it. Like for example, the transmission, that's purely chassis work. But then you also have other projects which need both teams. So for example, the battery pack, how the battery pack goes to the inverter is a powertrain problem, or how the batteries behave is a powertrain task. But then the casing of the battery pack and how it actually goes into the motorcycle is chassis.
Yeah, then they have the positioning of, for example, the inverter and the battery. Where you go is very important because they're big components. So that's a chassis thing. But then if you have long cables, it creates EMI, interference. And then it becomes a powertrain problem. So they really have to look into communicating well together. And everyone has their own responsibility in each team. I guess if you would describe the sub-teams in studies, everyone can basically apply, but we mainly have for chassis the mechanical engineers, and for powertrain the electrical engineers. And they all have their own responsibilities. For example, in chassis, someone is responsible for cooling. But that also interferes with powertrain stuff. So we have to collaborate a lot. And I think we use a Scrum, right, in order to retrack who's working on what. And also have a map of responsibilities because a lot is overlap. For example, to manage net the battery pack, that's an overlap between powertrain and chassis. So who's responsible for that? That's a big part of our getting a right process.
And it's really interesting because these are all these not the type of skills that you learn during your studies, the multidisciplinary working, but that is something that you do recognize when you're working in a student team.
It seems way more hands-on, and then you actually get the possibility to do that and to actually collaborate with other people from maybe other domains.
Yeah, exactly. And engineers during their studies, they learn how to create the best solution for a given problem in a perfect world scenario. But in real life, the case is a lot of times different. Depends with, do you have a partner who's willing to work with you? How much money can we deliver on component? Time,
Yeah, and a lot of other stuff also goes into it because what we learned that on the university you learn the theoretical part a lot. But then when you get to the practice or actually producing something, then it becomes way harder and other variables come into play. And that's something that is really challenging, but also you learn a lot from it. Yeah.
It's really a unique experience that maybe you couldn't get somewhere else.
I mean, of course, you do projects during the university, but
it's not the same.
No, they usually take like 1 to 2 weeks, and you can get away with a bad system. You can power your way through it. But doing it an entire year, if you don't have a right system, you make mistakes, and there won't be a bike.
And you also get the chance to compete with your bike. Whereas in a project, you don't get a chance to compete.
You really see the result of your work, which also part of the reason why I joined it, because I think that moment will be very fascinating, that you've put like blood, sweat and tears a whole year, 20 people into it. And that's eventually at the end, hopefully it works and you really see it being driven by a racer.
We keep mentioning the competition.
Right.
Which will happen in October 2025.
Right.
The end of October.
Okay. Please tell me about this competition. What's it called? Where does it happen? How long?
I think most people know Formula Student, where High Driven is also a part of, and a lot of other student teams in the Netherlands. It's similar to that, but then with motorcycles, electric motorcycles and biofuel motorcycles in Spain. And a lot of teams from the entire world come there to race their bikes, which are all motor student spec. and to see which team came up with the best technical solution, basically.
Yeah, so there are 48 participating teams.
Mm-hmm.
Most are based from Spain or Italy or Greece, but also teams from India. There are a few from the USA, Germany. So that'll also be very interesting. That's kind of a worldwide competition going to take place there.
We have a lot of contact with them because, like I said, we're the first Dutch team to even do this. And so there isn't a other team where we can ask for how does this work? Maybe a team in Eindhoven, how does this work? So you really have to get into contact with other students from around the world, which is really nice. Also with the vision to actually see them in real life in October in Spain.
It'll be very cool.
A great chance of networking and also learning from them.
Exactly.
And them learning from you, maybe.
So that's an entirely new challenge for us, because we focused when electric superbike started. It was the focus to make an electric MotoGP bike to compete with normal bikes. And well, we succeeded. We built a lot of bikes that actually also competed against other superbikes. But it also came with a lot of complications because there wasn't a competition for us. So we had to do our own safety, our own logistics, our own everything basically around building superbikes. So it becomes a huge project. So for example, when you go to race in Assen, they don't have the knowledge on electric superbikes. So you need to bring the knowledge.
So we have a fairly new field in the motorsport. So
so when we go to testing,
go about it.
We have to bring our own emergency team that are ready with like the high voltage suits on and safety gloves. And if an accident happens with our bike, the marshals, they will go to there, but then they don't touch the bike. They wait until our guys jump into the safety car and they race to the accident scene, and then they can help us because we bring the knowledge that they don't have.
Okay.
Yeah, in traditional petrol racing, it's like if the bike crashes, if it explodes or it catches on fire, you know not to touch it. And if it doesn't, then it's safe to touch.
Mm-hmm.
But in electric racing, it can be totally different. It can look fine, but in matter of fact, there's actually then a lot of voltage on the frame.
Mm-hmm. Which, well, you can resolve it safely, but it's just a matter of getting the knowledge out there. They don't have the knowledge. Since this year, I believe they have the safety gloves at each station, but don't have the knowledge yet about. I mean, you have to think about if a bike catches on fire, they don't know what to do with it, so they pick it up or something like that. So,
what if something worse happens?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it. Like I said, it was a huge undertaking. So going to Moto Student, it opens up a lot of doors because we don't have to worry about that as much, and we can really focus on developing the bike.
Yeah. How do you choose the bike driver, or do you have more? Do you have a single driver for the bike, for the competition, and for the...
Currently we have one single driver. He's also doing at University of Applied Sciences, not here, but I think somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
But he already drives at a team for traditional petrol superbikes, and he thought it'd be very interesting to come drive for us.
Yeah, because
he says he thinks it's the future, so you better get used to it fast.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of electric race bikes in the Netherlands to really get that experience on, except for ours.
Right.
Yeah. That's really funny. First time I actually spoke to him, I shook his hand, and he was a bit of an older guy. I thought, oh, this is our driver, but no, it was his dad. Our driver was 17 years old, and he couldn't drive on the streets, but he is really good at the track.
The thing is that we have requirements for a driver, and they need like a race license, and there are not a lot of people in the Netherlands that have that. So it was very lucky that we found him and that he's willing to drive for us.
Especially because we're the only student team that doesn't drive their own vehicle. Simply because we're the only student team that really focuses on speed and performance instead of endurance. So, let's say a high-driven car that drives, was it 60 or something like that?
Yeah, I think they're trying to make it 60.
They're trying to make it 60. Our bike drives faster than 300 kilometers an hour, so if you and you don't really have any safety because it's a motorcycle, so you really have to know what you're doing. And
that's true.
Yeah,
you cannot just have anyone that has like a motorcycle driver's license, like a motorcycle license.
No, I need a specific one for the track.
Yeah, someone trained for that.
The only safety you have is if you crash, that you make sure that you slide long enough to that that breaks kind of your speed and that you don't fall into something.
Yeah.
But it's it's very dangerous.
Yeah, which also makes it really fun.
I mean, a different kind of fun, but sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to competitions because you had one more in October last year, right?
Right,
True.
EDC.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically what we do is we have every year with one main competition. That's this year, this Moto Student. But we do drive some national competition alongside that. So last year we did Jack's Racing Day.
Yeah, that was our
Was
first
also at
race
Assen.
test. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first race test. And we also did IDC in October, which was very interesting because there we we competed against other superbikes, but those were all petrol and we were the only one driving electric.
Yeah, it was really fun there because you have to imagine the motorcycle world is really conservative. So people don't really believe in the electrical stuff and really want to shake that up. But when you go to a race, they're always like, oh, you're electric. Yeah, you start at the back of the grid. So we started at the back of the grid. Also, and before we even crossed the finish line, for the start line basically, we already passed 6 people because we have so much performance. Really cool to see that in action, actually.
We added a GoPro to the front of the bike so we could see how the race went.
Yeah.
And you saw at the start that he already takes over 8 people. And then first he goes for the first turn. He brakes a little and he accelerates in the hub before already in the back.
It was a really cool experience to be there because the race day was organized by the whole team and they took us along with it so we could shadow our new role basically because you have to think about that a normal day you have a normal role like an engineer or management or something, but then during the race day you have a different role because there are different requirements, so people got to shadow their race role basically, and for me it was the chief emergency. So when something goes wrong, I'm there in the control room looking at all the screens and directing the emergency team.
What was it for you? The high people of emergency in Assen, right?
Yeah, that was crazy to be there.
With them.
There was like a front row of guys there, and I remember walking in and the room was completely quiet. Just a row of guys looking very serious because, it's a dangerous sport, so they're very serious. And I got told one of them is like an old fireman commander, and he now does this as his hobby. And then there was me, first time ever on the racetrack.
Not knowing what you were doing.
Not knowing what I was doing, and there was a lot of if there was an incident, people had maps coming out and things getting caught, and it was really cool to see. And then there was just me also looking at the screens. You could see out the window all of the bikes going past, and it's a different experience of enjoying a race.
It must be
the
nice.
thing is, within the second, something can go horribly wrong, and there are also life of racers at stake. So they really need to react really fast.
So only people that actually need to be there can be there.
So you
There's
do
no
need
small
someone
talk
like
there.
Torben to be serious about it,
Definitely. But luckily nothing went wrong.
Thank God.
Well, nah.
The film with GoPro that you did of the bike, is that available on your Instagram or website or anywhere?
I think it's on our Instagram, right? There's a video about it that we posted also on our
people should
LinkedIn.
definitely watch it.
Yeah. There's also from our race last year in Finland. There's a really good film where he races around the racetrack and comes by going. Was it 290 kilometers an hour? It's really cool to see. When first time I joined Electric Superbike Twente, I thought it's an electric vehicle. It doesn't make any noise. But because it's such a race machine with all the race gears, and
it's like a jet flies by.
It's like a jet going by. It's really cool to see.
I was also assuming before you mentioned this that it would be quiet, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe also the wheels on the ground.
That's more like the friction in the change and the transmission that makes the sound.
It's like a fighter jet.
And not the battery. Yeah, makes sense. I'm wondering if you ever encounter technical issues.
Yeah, a lot.
Rarely.
How do you handle them?
Yeah, I think like we said before, it's really important to have clear and open communication throughout all of the different teams, because let's say a problem arises, there's a lot of different things we can do, and we all need to work together in order to solve a technical issue. And that the way we do it is just how do we do it actually? the person that has the problem, he mentions it, and then we see what we can do about it. Because, for example, let's say there's a powertrain issue, they can go different routes, try different things, develop something to help the problem, but they also communicated with us as communications team because we have the big network of partners. We can see, hey, do they know a solution, or can we find something on the market that can solve this? And that way we try as many different approaches to solving the problem and see which one's the best.
And luckily we also have a lot of partners in our network that are in the field of engineering, so we can always go to them and ask them for solutions, or maybe to take a look at it. There's certain projects like cooling and the battery pack assembly that is very important and also very dangerous if it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So for that's always good to have a very critical point of view on it and really take as many people that can help into the process.
Yeah, and we also have the advantage that we're now the 8th year. So there was 8 teams before us, and they all worked on electric superbikes, and they all know how it is to work on this, and they all have faced similar problems. So we also have a technical RVT, we call it, who help. So if engineers face a problem, they can go there, and then they troubleshoot it, and they help think of solutions.
Yeah, we first supply them with some trainings in order to get them started and to also know how do you go about such an issue. Yeah. All our electrical engineers that work on the battery pack get a certification and a training to work with electric vehicles, and are also closed off from the outside in case something happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to take it very seriously.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's a high responsibility. You have a lot of companies that you are connected with, so
Right.
you're networking with them. I assume that aside from the fact that you can ask them for advice or for solutions, this also helps you after you finish your job in the student team and after you finish your studies.
Yeah, right, definitely. I think, all of our, like Tim mentioned before, all of the technical partners, they work closely with our team members, so they get to know each other. And we really see that if they get to know each other, they know us, we know them, then they're very much inclined to also start working there if they enjoyed the company. And we see that a lot, like a couple companies, Pinlock or Movella, they have all people working from us at those companies. VDL2, yeah.
Also the companies, they get to know us and they already know from, okay, these are ambitious students, they can work hard, they also can work within a multidisciplinary team. So for a company, that's already a good starting place. They already have a student, but that student has a year of working experience.
So then that...
And we also get offers from them. It's very interesting. We have Tenkate, it's a partner of us. They have their own superbike racing team. And they also race in the world competition of the superbikes. Yeah. And they made an offer, we need a junior engineer. Maybe want to ask you if you have anything.
Yeah, we'll pay the trip to, was it Australia or something?
Yeah, Australia, China.
Yeah.
So for an internship, that'd be really cool, especially for in the Chelsea team. They already have knowledge, and we have some motorcycle enthusiasts, so they signed up already.
Yeah. Nice. You guys have only recently started your journey in the team in September.
Right. Yeah.
What is something you were expecting before joining?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Maybe I should start. I think from my position, it's that contact with companies is very formal.
Is it not?
It is. Like for the formal things, yes, the company is very formal, but the interchange communication with them is pretty informal. It's like on a first name basis. It's to the point. Sometimes it's a bit of joking around, laughing. So that's really, really interesting. And I think they also liked it, like the contact or the reaching out to other companies a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning I spent a lot of time really honing in on my professional skills. Like you get taught in school, like you have to be professional, has to be a sound email. So I'm talking to the COO of a company, so I have to be it has to be a good email. And then I write it was a really strong email to him. And he says back, yeah, sure thing, no worries, bro. And I was like, all this effort, and this guy's just like, hi, Torben, sure thing. Yeah, and that's also something that's really different for me. Also something that I realized now is that, of course, with the student team, like we said, we work 40, 50 hours a week, sometimes even longer. It's quite busy because it's a full-time job. And I thought that the hardest thing would be planning when to do stuff, but it's actually the opposite. You have to plan when not to do stuff, because there's so much stuff here that you can do, because you're enthusiastic about it, you know what you can do, and you want to do everything, that you can just spend unlimited time on it. You can easily fill your week. You can easily make 80-hour weeks, but you don't have to. You can't, because you have to do it an entire year. So you have to really learn how to plan time for yourself.
Yeah, I agree with Torben. There's also a lot of freedom to pick up things. If you have a nice idea that you want to implement, you can just go ahead. You want to work on the website or make a component, be my guest. And that's something I didn't expect. I thought we had like this really set out positions, and it's going to be, you're going to do this and nothing else.
Yeah.
But that turned out to be different.
Yeah, it's great to really get to know yourself. I mean, because you have this time pressure and all of these things you can do, you really get to learn yourself. You get confronted by yourself with what you can and you can't do. And I think that's really nice. Also, sometimes it's really not nice. Like, okay, this is something I'm definitely not good at. But also stuff that you are good at, which is, something I guess I could have realized beforehand, but I now really get to appreciate.
Yeah. I guess, well, Tim, you were mentioning that you thought you would have like this structure, like, you do this, you do that. Maybe this is the advantage of a small team, because maybe in a way bigger team you would have to do that. So
Yeah, true.
the advantage of a small city, small university.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like.
We're an exclusive team, so we don't have a lot of spots, because a bike is not that big, so you can't have. Well, there are some teams in Italy who have 200 people working on it. We were 20. We're an exclusive team, so when we go through the process of application, really look at what can a person bring to the team, because there's only 20 spots to fill, so you have to have someone that's diverse but also skilled. And I think that also then lends itself to having a space where people can really pick up what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the team bigger, but then you need to restructure formally. And I don't think adding more people will result in better productivity directly.
No, it's like, if you want to have more people, you also need more management, which also requires more people. And I've talked to other people from bigger student teams, and they, for example, did the carbon fiber, and they really focus on the carbon fiber. They can tell you anything about it. Really interesting. And I ask, and how did you do the battery? And he doesn't know anything about the battery. And that's just a bit of a shame.
Because he didn't work on it.
He didn't work on it. He didn't even talk to those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what we both also like. It's more to have like a top-down overview of not be really detailed in one component, but know how it works in general, all the components together.
Yeah, sometimes also when we go to events, people ask stuff about the bike to me. And right now I've gotten so much knowledge about the bike that I actually tell them all of the systems of the bike, which is really nice to do. It's only possible because we talk to all of the engineers all the time.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, we go to events with like the bike they made last year. But like at the end of this year, we'll be going with our own bike.
With your bike that you're making now.
Exactly. So that'd be a cooler story, because you really went through the whole process of building that. So every component you can tell about, how was it? Was the struggle, or did it go really well?
Yeah.
So we're really looking out to that one.
Yeah.
What is something, or is there something you are personally looking forward to? Like, not necessarily the moto student race, because everybody, I assume the whole team is looking forward to that,
Yeah.
but something that you are personally looking forward to.
Personally, I'd say the motor reveal is really nice. That's when we show off the bike after the production phase to all of our partners, all of our family and friends. So it's really nice, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's really ambitious, but have a working bike that can drive into the area, which is really cool because you see your team who's worked really hard, your team of partners which helped you and can now see what you've done. Also your family and friends who helped you support mentally can see everything come together. So I think that will be a very magical moment to really have that.
What about
We
you,
currently
Tim?
have the design of the bike and individual components, but then you really have something tangible in front of you.
Yeah, and you
Which
feel
really
so
shows
proud, you know,
for,
it's like,
yeah,
oh,
the
that's
last
my
years.
baby, you know, that's...
Exactly.
Honestly, yeah.
We need to make sure that moment we take like a step back and see what we've
Yeah.
achieved.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
For me, I think it is getting the powertrain working. So the whole from the battery pack together to the motor, because I think that's a process I've been pretty invested in the partners, and to see that all coming together would be really interesting.
Nice.
So yeah, and I think that also kind of goes to the motor reveal where you can really see, okay, everything I worked for, all the components I ended up getting. I had conversations with all my partners, reaching out to people. Finally, all came together into one working product.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's very interesting. Yeah, and of course the race.
Yeah, of course. Rich.
Yeah.
That will be really fascinating,
In Spain.
breathtaking.
It's a lot better weather there in Spain than in Finland, so we're already doing better than last year.
Are you going to have the function of emergency... What was it? Emergency
Chief,
coordinator?
Chief
emergency for the moto student race, or...
I think that will be a bit
Well, no, because that's
different.
not safety. You don't have to do the safety.
Well, you have to, for the race, there is safety there. And of course, we know the most knowledge. We have the most knowledge about the bike. They only have general knowledge, so we still need to work on the safety stuff as well as in the garage and in the pit. Work on the safety. Like for example, if we're charging the battery, something goes wrong, we're the ones that can do something about it the quickest. But it will be way less responsibility than a test day, for example, where you have to really organize everything yourself.
Yeah, I think the organization also has a lot of things in set, procedures set for safety, because they're organizing the electric racing competition, which is also the reason why it helps that we're now really going into more formal competition versus the last years.
Yeah.
How many times per year do you recruit new members for the team?
So we have one set recruiting time period, and I think, if I'm correct, that starts at around April.
Yeah, April, and the deadline is 1st of May, so people can apply.
So and then we have the interviewing rounds. We do like a case study, and then we select them, I think, somewhere beginning of the summer vacation.
Yeah.
And then after some vacation, we have like a transfer week or weeks.
Yeah, weeks.
Maybe. And then it's the new team that gets started. We're trying to find like a way to neither gradually give away, stop the new team and stop the old team, start a new team.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's always a difficulty that knowledge gets lost in between that. Because the people that are stopping have already worked for a year long full time, so they have all the knowledge about which processes, how does a motor work, how do you go about contact partners, marketing, whatever. And we need to find a way to give that knowledge to someone that's starting.
And our teams that do it differently. They treat it more like an association where you can do a board year. So you do it part-time, basically as kind of like a hobby.
Okay.
But they have to be way bigger, and the disadvantage is also that you know way less about the thing you're doing, and you also don't know each other that well. I think that's also the reason why we only do it once, and you do it an entire year, and then you pass it on. Also for the other people to go through the learning process, because it's also a big part of what our team's all about.
What might be interesting also for the listeners is that you can also combine electric superbike with like a minor, or maybe for your thesis.
Right.
Depends on the study, but we, for example, now already have, I think, an engineer that is doing the first half year for a minor to look into the bodywork, the research, and then after that half year, continue part-time in the free time. So that's always a nice option, because then you still get ECs for your time at electric superbike.
Yeah, or you could do that.
And you get to do cool research.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to listeners, or generally people that want to apply?
Well, first of all, do it. I think a lot of people, they hesitate a lot, but I'd say we are organizing a lot of activities to really get to know each other. Like I talked before, it helped me a lot to really catch a feel of how it feels to be in a team. I think that really plays a big part in making your decision. If it feels right, do it. There's literally only... I thought about it this way. If I don't do it now, when will I do it? Later I'll start a job. Like, I'll focus, I'll do it later. I'll later some fun project, and now I have to do is build a career. Oh, now I have a promotion. I'm going to go. I don't have time for this. Oh, now I have a family and kids, and you don't get a lot of time anymore.
You can think of a lot of reasons why not to do something, but you only need one to actually go and do it. And I think my advice would be, don't hassle to get in touch.
Yeah.
I mean, if something stays, an opportunity stays in your head, you have a lot of opportunities to downplay it and to forget about it, or to say, I'm not good enough, I don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just get in touch, talk with us, and then we can see if it's something for you.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, what is next for Electric Superbike?
So next short term, we have the 11th of February, we have our design review.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're going to make renders of what our motorcycle will look like in order to present it to all the stakeholders that are currently helping us or have helped us in the past to get them warm from what we're going to do for the next year.
Yeah, and we're going to have like a big presentation and a panel discussion with all of our partners, which will be really fun. And all of the engineers. Networking drinks. So the parts can also learn more about each other. And then the engineers will also bring a lot of renders and objects that they made to really show more in detail. So that's really exciting. Mm-hmm. It also marks the start of the production phase, that the design is done, then we start producing.
Yeah.
And what makes you most excited about the upcoming Moto Student Race?
I think it's not particularly one thing. It's like the entire experience of being there, being in a race, and all of the 48 student teams who worked just as hard or maybe even harder than we have done to get there to that point. Yeah. And the whole atmosphere there is something I really want to experience.
Yeah, it's kind of the symbol for your whole year of work in one weekend. So I think it'd be filled with a lot of emotions and enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And especially meeting the other teams, I think I'd like that. Yeah, I wonder what the other 48 external and finances are.
Yeah, I really I really want to know if they had the same struggles as us or not.
Yeah, that definitely. I think we also had contact with them. What's really interesting is that just a fun little thing is that they have like a meme page of the motor student competition, and there you see like the struggle that we sometimes have. They see that like a meme for, and they're like, we're not the only one who have this struggle. Everybody has it.
Yeah. And of course, after the whole race is done, we'll have a team vacation, and then we'll always be there in Spain with the entire team celebrating our year. Because you work hard, you also have to celebrate hard.
Yeah, so interesting is that we have 2 team members that actually originate from Spain.
Yeah.
So they're taking it upon themselves to schedule the vacation. So we'll also have some local things to do there, which will be very interesting.
Do they also take the responsibility to host everyone?
No, actually, we're not going where they're originally from in Spain. Which bit
that would have been.
Yeah, I think they're more from the south of Spain, but we're definitely going to look for a nice venue to be able to relax. Yeah. It's a well-earned vacation.
Definitely. What is one takeaway that you want to leave with listeners?
I would say, for me, it's do more than just study here. Do more than just the normal route. You learn so much more doing something extra. And even if it means studying a year longer or starting work a year later, you have to work till you're 80 anyways. What's the year going to be? So I really would advise people to take a leap and do something different and take a risk in, for example, a student team, because you learn so much from it.
Yeah, there's more to student life than attending lectures and making exams.
And drinking
you have
beer.
a lot of you have a lot of opportunities laying around here, no matter where your interests are, which way you want to go. Mm-hmm. So I think take those, grab them with both hands, and do what you wish to do.
Even if you're not a mechanical engineer or an electrical engineer, our team manager, he studies chemics.
Yeah.
And he's working on a superbike now. So
Yeah, I do
Go for
business
it.
and IT. It has nothing to do with external. Yeah, external is not really a study you can learn.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with what I'm currently doing. But your motivation and how much what you want to learn, your ambition is what matters, and that eventually gets you in this position. And maybe you'll end up somewhere entirely different than you thought you would go to a few years ago. But the only way of finding out is actually doing.
Yeah. But that's good, because imagine if you never found out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something that we've learned is that knowing that, or that whole different story, is just one email away. That's it. Yeah, literally. It's one email away.
That's true. Everything is one email away if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe one thing I kind of want to add as a takeaway is that network is very important.
Yeah, it's very important.
You, if you have a good and strong network, you can find out that you can get your hands on almost anything. You can do almost anything. People can help you. You just need to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Well, those were all my questions for you guys.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you so much for joining me.
No
Yeah.
worries,
I
it was
really
an honor.
had a lot of fun. And I learned about something about superbikes myself. So who knows, maybe you'll see me there next year.
Yeah, thank you.
You're already wearing the right color, so it's
Oh,
good.
yeah, that's